Hi, my name is Chris Dixon. This is Founder Stories. Today we have Scott Harrison, the founder of Charity Water. Thanks for being here.
It's good to be here. So
how did you start Charity Water? You used to be a party promoter, right?
Yeah, I used to get people wasted for a living. From here, so been in the city since I was 18, so about, gosh, almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I moved here to rebel against my very, oppressive Christian upbringing, and learned that, you could...
Where'd you move from?
I was born in Philly and then raised in West Jersey. Mm-hmm. So I learned that, you could piss off your parents and everybody in the church by filling nightclubs full of beautiful people and charging them way too much to drink. Yeah. So I sold, $500 bottles of vodka that we would buy for $30, and you know the deal, the velvet rope, and 10 years of that, kind of woke up at 28 years old, and I was in Uruguay. I was in Punta del Este, and I should have been really happy. I knew all the right people, and I drove a BMW, and I had a Rolex, and I was not happy, and it was a really dark, kind of decadent, selfish existence that I was living. So. On that trip, kind of hungover during the days from way too much partying, I started to rediscover faith. Came back to New York and decided to find a way to leave everything behind and make my life look exactly the opposite. Explore the 180. And then that led me to apply to a bunch of humanitarian organizations, thinking, here I'm this talented nightclub promoter that can get 1,000 people. Everyone's going to want me to serve. Well, I got turned down by every organization. And thankfully, one organization said, we will take you. You can volunteer for us in Africa, but you have to pay us $500 a month. I said, sure, whatever it takes. And that led me to Liberia, West Africa. I picked up a camera and I became a photojournalist for this group called Mercy Ships, basically doctors who sailed in on a giant hospital ship full of volunteer crew, 42-bed hospital, 3 operating rooms. And they would operate on people that had no access to medical care. Mm-hmm. And I just remember my third day there, I had my camera and I'm all ready to photograph the patient's screening. And we'd taken out a stadium because we knew so many people would come. Mm-hmm. And 7,000 people had come for about 1,500 available surgery slots. And it was so hard, you'd turn away 5,000 people. I learned that, you could help people. You could... for $20, $50, you could operate on someone to give them sight back just by popping out a cataract. I saw people with tumors get free surgeries, and lame people walk. It was really inspirational, hopeful, also very sad. Long story short, I served there for 2 years, and I learned about the link between disease, and so much of the disease that we were seeing, and the lack of access to clean water. So I learned that almost 80% of disease on the planet came from bad water. And here we were doing these expensive surgeries, and people were drinking out of swamps and ponds and rivers in the villages. So, back in New York at 30, kind of my heart broken and, ready to, set the world on fire, I picked water as the issue to attack.
And so how'd you get started?
Well, the problem, I was $30,000 in debt at the moment. Nightclub promoters suck at saving money. We're great at spending it, certainly spending other people's money. And Mercy Ships, had charged me a lot of money, including airfare, back and forth a few times. So I was crashing on the couch of a friend in Soho, an old club friend, and I not only did I had big ideas. I was 30. Wanted to change the whole world, and thought, I could end the water crisis in my lifetime, and I could also reinvent charity. Mm-hmm. So those were kind of the two things I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So my friends, they weren't giving, they were like me, and they seemed to be this litany of excuses. I don't give to charity because I don't know how much of my money will actually reach the people, and I don't give to charity because there's no connection. I don't know that it helps anyone and what that looks like. So I remember starting, I wrote down the word charity, and I thought, let me reinvent this. Charity means love. In the Latin, it's caritas. It just means to help someone in need. And water, I had this issue, 1 billion people needed it. Nobody was doing anything about it at scale. Kind of put those together. And then I went to the bank, TD Bank here, back then it was Commerce, and I opened up 2 bank accounts. And I'd come up with this model where I'd made a promise from day one to always use 100% of the public's money to directly fund water projects, and have a separate bank account where I would kind of scrap to pay for our eventual staff and our office and our operations, but very clean, separate funding streams. Then I went.
So that way, that would reassure people that said, "Hey, I don't want to just be paying for some overhead. I want to know that my money's going directly."
Yeah, and that just kept coming up. That was the biggest problem people had. They would refer to the black hole of charity. You know, I don't know where my money goes. And I thought, what a simple way. Sure, there's a cost of doing business. There's a cost of running a charity, but maybe I could get other savvy people to fund that, and I would just treat them as shareholders or investors. So that was kind of the big first idea, the 100% model. The second idea was just we were going to be funding water projects around the world. Luckily, this was a very tangible, provable outcome. So made a promise that we would never fund a water project unless we could be guaranteed to know that it existed. And that would be photo proof and then GPS proof. And I'd walked into an electronics store, and these handheld units were $99.
Yeah.
I thought, this is amazing. You can turn it on anywhere in the world, photograph it next to the water project, and we know where this thing is within 10 feet.
This is to fight, I mean, there's a stereotype, right, which is like you donate money and it goes to food, and then maybe some corrupt government officials take it.
Or it never gets built,
yeah,
right? This school that, I sell you for 50 grand and it never gets built. So we said, if we have 3,000 water projects, we have 3,000 points on Google Earth and 3,000 photos. And then we trained all of our partners, our drilling partners, how to turn on the device, photograph it, send us that data, and then we worked with Google to make that public. And because it was so much data, I remember we just kept crashing Google Earth in the beginning, and that was a whole kind of tech nightmare that we managed to get through. And then I guess the third big idea, while I was at it, I was on a roll, was to build a brand. And this was something that I thought charities were just notoriously bad at. Their websites were some of the worst of any sector. And there was almost a poverty mentality, when it came to brand, when it came to design. And I thought, if we're really going to solve the global water crisis, we're going to need to build an epic brand, a brand that rivals Apple or Nike or Coke. And there wasn't any other kind of charity brand that I thought was aspirational. So I also believed you didn't have to spend a lot of money. You just need to find really talented people, talented designers. So our first hire, on that couch was someone who had worked with me in Liberia. She came on to work on the water projects. And the second hire was our creative director, who eventually became my wife.
And how did you go and how did you build that brand? I mean, you have built an amazing brand, and presumably done it on a shoestring budget.
So
like Nike spends billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
So that was Vic. She'd been working on Clinique and Toyota, and had just kind of been unfulfilled. But she was one of the most talented designers, and she taught herself how to animate and how to do Cinema 4D and how to do web design, how to print design, design exhibitions. She was just a learner, and
then you have to get it out there, though, still, right? Like, you can't just.
Well,
have
but remember, I had my background then.
Okay.
Now I have 10 years to redeem.
Okay.
I know how to throw parties.
Okay.
So I had been selling a story or telling a story for 10 years that it's important you come in my club, stand outside, and then spend $1,000 getting a table, because that says something about you. So I remember in the beginning. We started. I grabbed a camera. I traveled to Rwanda and Uganda to tell the water story, to find these implementing partners who would drill. Because I knew that what I found was the skill sets of implementing sustainable water projects, sustainable sanitation and hygiene projects, very different than raising awareness and fundraising. You could even say marketing water. But those organizations, the best drillers, couldn't market their way out of a paper bag. I didn't think we would be great hydrologists. Instead of setting up NGOs in 20 countries around the world, why not find the people that have been doing the work and help them do more? And what I saw in that first couple-month trip was just capacity. They could drill 100 wells a year, but only had the money to drill 30. And he was a driller, so he drilled his 30 wells. He flew back to Indiana or Iowa, and he would start speaking in Barnes & Nobles, trying to raise money. And nobody would come. Nobody would give him money. So I thought, look, you should be there doing all 100, and then let's figure out how to get you to 200 and to 400. We'll build the brand, raise awareness. So in the beginning, it was just pitching. It was showing these photos to anybody that would listen. And I remember I actually went back to the clubs, because I still had access, and I would be in DJ booths at 3 or 4 in the morning, with a laptop open, And I remember the DJs would be like, dude, you're ruining my buzz. I will give you money. I will DJ your party. Just please get out of the DJ booth. You know, it's 3 in the morning. There's a party going on.
Yeah.
But I think one of the real keys was I'm so visual that it was always showing and not telling. So I remember, you know, if I was pitching in the early days and it was 10 minutes, you would have to look at 50 photos in 10 minutes. You know, I wasn't telling you the kids were drinking out of a swamp. I was showing you, and I was showing you wells being drilled, and I was showing you kids drinking clean water, and a video clip of a woman saying what water meant to her. So that was really important. In so many ways, it was hard for people to deny this wasn't going on because they were looking at it. They were seeing kids their age or kids their their son or daughter's age. So, you know, I had a talented person kind of building a brand, and then I was just out there pitching, and it just kind of started naturally growing. People were attracted to the 100% model. Day one of the organization was a big party, and it was on my birthday. And nightclub promoters always kind of use their birthday to call in favors. So I managed to get 700 people to turn up at my birthday party. I gave them open bar, and I charged them $20 at the door. And that was our first fundraiser. And we took the $15,000 to northern Uganda immediately. We built 3 wells in a refugee camp. We fixed 3 wells. And then we sent the photos and GPS back to the 700 people that attended that party. And that was powerful. You know, people were expecting nothing. You know, nothing from a charity. They'd given $20, it was open bar. And here they got to see proof that something happened, that a group of people, you know, 700 people in New York affected the lives of people, thousands of people living in a refugee camp.